Chop it up. 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 Chop it up.
What up, what up, what up?
What up?
Jaws is in his house.
Where?
Jaws. We're Jaws, you and I.
What the?
That was...
I get a little excited when I hear that.
I do get a little excited when I hear that too. I like it. Anyways.
Proceed. My bad.
Oh, okay. Okay. I wasn't sure. I was tripping. Any hoot. Evening, y'all. It's another episode of Can't Keep a Straight Face anymore with Jena and Oz. Chopping it up with Jena and Oz. I said that backwards. Shit. You know. How you doing, Dr. Oz?
I'm doing particularly fantastic this evening. I'm here to philosophize and theologize and doctrinize the fuck out of something.
Cool.
I don't even really know what I just said.
But I don't know either, but that's fine. We're gonna work it out. I see you are Jesus Christ mythicist. Is that where you have your studies in?
That's where I got my doctorate, yes.
Okay. You got your doctorate at Jesus Christ mythicist?
The College and Academy of Higher Learning in the realm of Jesus Christ mythicism, activistism.
Okay. That's cool. I can be down with that. I lost my doctorate, boo-hoo. It was just too hard. All that talk about student Dr. Ben and his whole 19th grade just scared the shit out of me. So,
See, Dr. Ben, you're doing too much.
You're doing too much, bro.
You're doing too much. You ain't got to do all
chill.
that. Just put the DR period in front of your name and fuck it. You don't have to explain shit to anybody.
Bro, you're halfway there. Just take the student off. Just take that shit off. You're good. Dr. Ben. There you go. Anyway, welcome everyone. We have a special guest this evening, the godfather of atheism, who is from Canada. Randolf Richardson is here with us this evening. I did it right, huh? I did it right?
Yep. Third time to charm.
Yes. I deserve a candy. Okay. Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and just bring Randolph in, that Canadian good soul of a man.
Can we talk about better real quick?
Oh shit. I'm sorry. I can't do anything right. Yeah, better. We can talk about that first. Forget Randolph. He can sit. Better conference starting at the end of June 25th and 26th at
the Allen County War Memorial Coliseum in Fort Wayne, Indiana, June 25th and 26th. In the after party, the wild and crazy after party on June 25th will be held at the Summit City Comedy Club with a live stream for all patrons and YouTube channel members. Don't fucking miss it.
Don't you fucking miss it. I'm going to call you if you do. It's going to be hot. And you know why it's going to be hot? Cynthia McDonald's going to be here there. That's why it's hot. You know why? Shannon Koo and PavlD are going to be there. You want to know what else? Dr. Josh Bowen, or as Oz likes to call him,
Dr. Yashua.
That is the birth pronunciation. Yes. Seth Andrews, Dave Warnock, Madam Who is gonna be there. And of course, your king, your god, your hashtag G's Oz himself, Oz Ozzy, will be there. And of course, more importantly, I will be there. Hashtag not ladylike. So you better be there as well.
Stop saying that. It makes me feel disgusting.
What? What's wrong?
God, whatever it is that you say,
Oh,
I get
our Lord and Savior, Jesus.
it triggers all the bad shit.
Okay,
That's
sorry.
nasty. That's nasty.
That's
That's
nasty.
nasty. That's
That's
nasty.
nasty. That's nasty. He don't like it because it's nasty. I don't know. I thought the nasty one was good. Anyway, that's all the announcements I have. We have more upcoming shows. They're in the works. So hold your fucking horses. Like, we've just got to talk to some folks, set some folks' dates, get shit together. Because, you know, me and Oz working on better conference, you know, plans. We have our meetings tomorrow evenings, right, babe? Have a meeting?
Meetings.
We have that meetings. So we're going to meet about the meetings, and we're going to let you know that info from the meetings of the other shows that are coming up in June. So hold your horses. Now we can get to the Godfather of Soul, atheism. Fuck.
Well, really quick, so you can try that the second time. Boston Normalizing Atheism says Oz is the Bubba Sparks of atheism. And I would say that's decently accurate if we base it on his first hit single, Ugly, where he talks about it's getting ugly, up in here. That would be accurate.
I mean, that'd be accurate. That's fine. That's fair.
He definitely ain't as good looking as I am, but you know.
The Godfather of Atheism, Randolph Richardson. Randolph, come up on stage. I roll that intro.
That was a warm welcome. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. This is exciting.
It's a delight. I've been looking forward to this. So thank you. Thank you.
We're not worthy.
Yes,
No.
you are. Yes, you are. I got right off the start.
No, Randolph, you are known all across the streams of the YouTubes and the Twitters and even Facebook. Even though you don't have that account anymore, you're known all across everywhere there is to be atheist community. Randolph Richardson, appreciate having you here with us because it's exciting what you have been doing every fortnight. And I'm not talking about the video game. I'm talking about, every 2 weeks on Sunday, you live stream a interesting discussion. What up, Rach? An interesting discussion with a panel of atheists and deists, if I'm not mistaken, to invite believers of all flocks to convince you and others if a god, goddess, or other sorts of deities exist. Tell us about that.
So I was approached by one member on the panel. His name is Taco, and he approached me and suggested that he'd like to organize this kind of a panel using Discord stages. And so I said, sure, let's give it a try. And he asked me about a few others that he was thinking to bring in. Everybody seemed fine. And a couple of them I didn't know. So I ended up meeting new people through him as well. And he found me through just seeing me on debates, on Modern Day Debate and whatnot. So it was a delight. I thought, this is great. I'll see where this goes. And originally we figured it would probably just take a couple of hours. And then the first episode was more than four, and it went on, 6 or 7 hours typically. And so it was hello Germania. It turned out to be a great experience, the very first one, because in the audience there were a lot of people using the raise hand feature of Discord so they could get in and present their argument. And the whole intention of this show is he wanted to do it every week. And I said, I can't commit to every week. And the others couldn't either. They've got family, not just like me. And so I suggested, well, why don't we try starting off as a monthly show? And that was too far apart for him. He wanted it to be a lot more often than that. And then I thought, I remember the word fortnight from the book, The Lord of the Rings, and that it meant every 2 weeks. So I suggested, let's do it every fortnight. And so that's what we've been doing every 2 weeks. And sometimes people will contact us. They'll contact me and one of the others, and they're worried that they've missed it. Alternate weekends. Because there's people who really like it. So, and then there's others who've contacted us and told us that they learned a new word, fortnight. So I'm really glad that the schedule can be educational, you know.
Mm-hmm. See, I call bullshit on those that just learn the word fortnight. Like, if you have not read Shakespeare in school, you would have run across fortnight. Like, that's just pitiful.
Yeah. There's people who think a fortnight is some kind of a camp in the woods or something. I've had a few people tell me that. So there are a lot of misunderstandings of words. It just how the language goes, I guess. So
that's fair.
Yeah.
The look on your face told me that you knew fortnight.
Oh, I knew. I knew the word because I studied Lord of the Rings.
I meant Oz, because he looked like he did.
No, the only thing I have ever known about Fortnite is my 6-year-old and my 11-year-old doing Fortnite dances. That's
yeah. Of course.
Oh, okay. And a Fortnite dance is not a dance that lasts for 2 weeks, is it?
With my youngest, my 6-year-old, it could.
He's got a lot of energy. Okay.
Yes.
That's good. He's healthy, it sounds like.
Well, her and an 11-year-old too, but yeah, the youngest is a girl, and then the 11-year-old is a boy. But yes, they have they have the energy to do a 2-week dance.
That's good. It means you're feeding them well. So I guess you're working on their sleep schedule, are you?
I'm the last person to teach anyone about a sleep schedule.
Okay, you're a hard worker too. I know. I need to get more sleep as well. I work long hours, so I can sort of relate to that.
Fair enough. But with the Discord show, I'm sorry, you had a question?
No, I was just going to say real quick, the other thing, the Shakespeare comment. Shakespeare, like that's like low-hanging fruit. I got into more of the deeper, more nuanced. Yeah, this is Tooth and Rage. The deeper, the more nuanced, the more make you provocative, intellectually provocative poetry and literature. Shakespeare is for rookies.
So what form of literature are you speaking of, sir?
I think you had questions for Randolph.
Randolph, I had questions for you.
Okay. But I hope that was interesting. We added a few people to the show as time went on. There are people like Peter de Tucker going to go for it, and Jefferson Spatchcock and some others who joined us later on. And there may be a few more in the future, but I don't want to say anything until we actually have something confirmed. So, and J-Mike recently joined us. He's one of the co-hosts on I think Talk Heathen. Maybe I'm getting the show mixed up. Yeah, so it was actually great to talk with him last time, and he had joined us for a little while. Not the last one, but the one before. And so
who was that? Randolph?
J-Mike.
Oh, okay.
J-Mike. Yeah, J-Mike. Yeah, one of the co-hosts on Talk Heathen. So it was great to have him on too.
Never heard of it.
Okay. Well,
I'm kidding. Randolph, he used to be on our channel.
He used to be a part of the channel.
I was just trying to play along.
Randolph classically falls for those blonde joke comments.
I've never actually heard a blonde joke yet. Nobody's given me one. I've heard brunette jokes and other jokes, but not a single blonde joke yet. But you had some questions.
Right past you. Yes, I did. Thank you.
Okay.
I know it has been around for at least going on 3-4 months now, somewhere late February. And it has grown, like you had stated. You've grown with the panel with T-Jump is a part of it too. JL Warren, of course, Ix is someone I'm familiar with through Discord, like I mentioned in the backstage. But it's also well known for how fucking long it goes on. Like on average, 5 to 8 hours.
The intention is to keep it to 4 hours, 5 hours max. And,
Yeah, that doesn't happen often.
No, it's really hard because the people we're talking with are interesting, and the conversations are enjoyable. So it goes on. So we're trying to work on that. We're finding that with a larger panel that it can start to very easily look like a number of people in the panel are ganging up on one person, and we definitely don't want to do that. So we're trying to work on that and improve that part of it. The very first episode in January 20, I just looked up, is actually January 23rd was the first episode, and so you're very close. February, it's easy to think that. So we're trying to. That first episode worked out really well because there was a smaller panel, and each of us just kind of let things happen if somebody's handling it for the most part, or after a conversation's finished, then somebody else might interject something. But yeah, we definitely don't want it to be like the ganging up thing, which a few people in the audience have
accused you of
that might be what's happening. Yeah, because it's not the case. Because all they have to do, the way I want people to see it, is that a person has multiple opportunities at once. Instead of just trying to convince one person, they can convince any one of us on the panel. So that's kind of what we're after there.
Right, because what's that classic saying, Oz? Like, something about faith can withstand any kind of critique or something. What's the line?
Truth does not fear investigation.
Thank you.
I really like that one. I've always liked that on your show, by the way. I was seeing that. I thought this is great. Yeah.
Well, so I can I jump in and ask a question?
Oh, please. No. Shut up.
Don't worry. I won't think you're ganging up on me.
No. Babe, that's not what I'm saying at all. I didn't know if you were in.
I know.
I'm kidding. Go ahead.
So when I hear, and I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. When I hear anyone talk about 4 or 5, 6 hour streams or shows or whatever, and it's arguments for a God or arguments that should lead us to evidence for a God, I'm already bored. I'm just being honest. I'm already bored, because if we're going 4, 5, and 6 hours and we still lack evidence, is that a good investment of time and energy for Randolph and others on the panel? Is that a good investment of your time and energy, knowing that at the end of the day, we're still going to leave in the same place that we arrived?
Ooh, that's a hard-hitting question.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I see is kind of frustrating is that there are people will have conversations, but they get shut down all the time. They don't get a chance to really present their whole argument. And I feel like with our program, we're giving people a chance to lay out their whole argument. Is it a good use of my time? There's probably better things I could do, with my time. But there's a human interaction aspect of this that I really enjoy. And I think that one of the things that helps is to show theists that good conversations can be had. Even when it's a whole group of people, especially, it can really exemplify this, that it's that reasonable conversations can go on, and we can actually get into the core issues that they want to emphasize. Now, some of the guests on the program don't really put forward arguments that are meant to be constructive. They don't want that constructive conversation. But I feel like the vast majority of the people who conversed with us really do want that. And so, they're probably not going to convince us, but we're not close to it. Because if there's something that we misunderstand, this will hopefully help to bring a better understanding of what the perspectives are, and hopefully also enable us to improve our own debating skills in the future. So there are some pros to this as well, and I guess it just really depends on how it's seen. Now, you're saying that you don't want to see this. This is with multiple people we're conversing with, not just one through the whole program. And so, and we don't know how long each of these conversations is going to go on. Some of them go a lot longer than others. But what you're saying about not finding that kind of discourse interesting for such a long period of time is quite valid. I have no problem with that, because people have different interests. And I don't think that anybody should feel bad or guilty about that. There's, in my view, absolutely nothing wrong with that. And there's been a few people who've raised this point as well, not as succinctly and clearly as you have, but they've kind of hinted at it. So, it's a good question. I hope my answer is satisfactory.
No, absolutely. Well, and you, you use different verbiage, but we just, different strokes for different folks,
Yep.
and whatever F's your B, and, Jena tells me that, she listens and then tells me how long it is. And I'm like, you're nuts. You're fucking nuts. You're fucking nuts. I would never listen
Thank
to
you.
it.
It's a great way to pass by the time at work. Literally the whole 8 hours.
And for those that do, like, that's also, and I have to be, but I also still have to be honest. And there was a time, especially right around my deconversion, that I did sit and listen. I wasn't necessarily participating, but I did sit and listen, because there were a lot of things and a lot of words and phrases and definitions and things that I was like, what the fuck is this? It was like a brand new world. So I understand the purpose. I'm not saying that anybody is actually wasting their time. And that's why I said I wanted to be clear. I'm being devil's advocate, because there is a purpose, right? That there is a place and a space for that. And now today, is that me? No, fuck no. All it does is agitate the shit out of me, because I'm like, you're saying the goddamn fucking same shit he just said. Are you not paying attention? So I start getting agitated. So I can't. That's why I can't do it, right? But I'm not everybody, and everybody's not me. But I do appreciate those that have the patience, like Randolph, to be able to entertain the asinine argumentations and all that, and still be a gentleman, still be respectful, because I think about now where I'm at, 45 minutes into that shit, I'm like, all right, fuck it, I've been nice, let's get down to brass tacks. This is bullshit, tell me why it's not fucking bullshit.
I can appreciate, because I know Jack Burton is also part of that panel. For the record, to your credit, Jack Burton, because I figured most of the time you're distracted or doing something else, I don't hear him talk much. So to your credit, Jack, that makes sense.
So Jack Burton is the only deist on the panel, and he's been a wonderful contributor as well. I'm really glad to know him, and we've had good conversations as well.
You said he's what? Deist?
He's the only deist on the panel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome, Jack. Thanks for hanging out.
Yes, thank you, Jack.
He's a fan of Big Trouble in Little China, and so am I. So in our channel graphic, in our show graphics for that, I put him in the center, his picture, and it's have some fun with that. So it's
yes, you do. I won't spoil the fun. I wanted to, but I'm like, nah. That was almost kind of cute when I finally noticed it, and I was like, oh, that's cool. So I won't spoil the fun.
I'm okay if you want to, because you really enjoy it.
I like it. No.
Okay.
Shut up, Jena. Shut up. I had another question, and as far as with the panel discussions, because it's not just Christians or theists that come, or Christian theists that are apologists at barely suggesting they're apologists, but you definitely get it's definitely a blend, or half and half equally, I would say, of Christian and Muslim. And then you sprinkle a little bit, like there were a couple that were people that came up explaining their reasons for believing of a goddess.
Yeah.
And then maybe there was one from Hinduism, if I recall. Not quite sure. I'm not absolutely certain. There was
trying to remember.
And then you have your classic run-of-the-mill, typical, very popular apologists that we all know, including, but not less than, to Otangelo, Canadian Catholic, Mr. Batman, and I'm forgetting one other person. But they are not interesting at all. I can honestly say, if I'm not actively listening and they're live, I skip right past them. I'm just like, oh no, I heard that same old story.
Jason the Worm guy has been interesting to a lot of people.
I
Go ahead,
love that one. I love and hate it. Yeah, go ahead, babe.
Yeah.
I know because of the several conversations we had. I know why Jena doesn't enjoy listening to Antangelo or Tangelo. Or,
Don't do it.
and it's
You're right the second time.
it's because Jena does not understand the proteins. She does not understand the proteins.
Oh, I cringe when you do that. I can't
You
stand
knew it was coming,
Antangelo.
didn't you, Jena?
I did, because he does it to me all the fucking time.
Jena, the proteins and the protons, they all line up in God.
Oh, God. Oh.
So you mentioned that there were some people who came on and tried to convince us that a goddess is real. And
yes. I've only been 2 so far. I've counted.
I think 2 is right. That's what I recall too. The original plan for the show, the name suggested was, can you convince us that a God exists? And I suggested right off the bat, let's change that to deities or a goddess and a god.
Inclusive of our gods.
Yeah, definitely. I don't want to be focused only on the male deities, you know. Let's open the gates right up. And so that's what we did. And everybody liked the idea, said, sure, why not? If they can bring evidence for that too, I'm okay with that. Nobody had any objections. It was good. So the only concern that came up is that it makes the channel name a little bit long in Discord, but I don't care about that. We've got YouTube, so it's fine. So I think because of that, it was interesting because other people felt welcome to come on and talk about it. We received some comments from a few people after the shows telling us that they really like that goddesses are getting mentioned there because it's so often overlooked. So this is important to some theists, really important. And these aren't just polytheists doing this. These are some people, they only believe there's a goddess and they believe that the Bible is wrong for the Christianity side and that God is actually a goddess. It's just, there's a lot of different perspectives out there.
Any that you can think of that moved your goalposts to consider, okay, I might believe in that?
No, nothing's happened so far. There's, yeah, I didn't have to hesitate to answer that one. But I do enjoy listening to it. Like there are some people who are very fond of the Kalam cosmological argument.
That and the fine-tuning argument has come up a lot.
Yeah.
And I still don't know what the fuck they are. That probably goes over my head too much. I don't actively pay too much attention, but please.
Yeah, the fine-tuning argument is got its major problem that we're not aware of any evidence of any of these constants being changeable. The other one is with the Kalam, it doesn't connect God into the whole argument. So it just doesn't seem to matter. And thank you, Shane Bilowitz. I see Shane's making some comments there in support. So so I think if you're going to look at those two, I highly recommend rationalwiki.org. It's got a lot more skeptics on it than Wikipedia does, and they tear those arguments to shreds, but they lay it out really well. So they lay out what the arguments are and the variations, the variants, and then they point out why they're all wrong and how they can be discounted easily. So it's quite good. I highly recommend it.
Nice. I won't say devil's advocate, just for sake of just to be teasing to our theist friends. And like I said, the most prominent ones that have come up on the stage have been Muslim and are Christian. Who has been the most convincing for you as far as all the Christian arguments that you've heard, or has it been the Islamic arguments that have been the most convincing? Or who, I won't say most convincing because you're not necessarily convinced at all. I'll say the most interesting or the most compelling. Yeah.
Well, I think it's hard to say. I don't remember exactly which religions they are. There's been a few who've really put effort into trying to form arguments that are logical and are making sense. And that the problem that they keep running into, though, is that there's certain assumptions that have to be made.
Yep.
And that's the stopping point all the time that I'm finding. So but they're trying to work out different things and come up with reasonings for it so they can get past these things.
Seems like.
Yeah, sometimes there's been things that have caused me to look and say, hey, maybe I am looking at something the wrong way, and I need to improve that. I'm sorry, I can't remember exactly what it is. I've been trying to recall, but
Nice.
yeah, you
put in a lot of hours into these. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. It's so yeah, they're really, but there hasn't been anything that's been overall convincing. But again, the conversation's been good. It's helped me to understand a little bit better the different perspectives. I think the stuff that stands out to me is that people are coming up with some arguments about goddesses. And I find one of the things that comes up sometimes is some of the theists are trying to say that nature is God. And they're trying to redefine God as just being nature. So they can try to slip it in and get that. So we're looking for a deity that is some kind of conscious being that's controlling the knobs, levers that make the universe run. That's kind of what we're looking for. And a goddess or a god that does that, some kind of deity or group of deities that does that. So, and like one of the things I'll do in these conversations sometimes is when somebody's really pushing hard against trying to make it dichotomous, there's either a deity or there isn't. I'll ask them, and they're expecting arguments to go to the zero side. I'll go to the opposite direction, and I'll say, how do you rule out that it's not a team of multiple deities working together to do this?
I've heard you ask that a couple times.
Yeah. I find people aren't so well prepared for that because they don't encounter it very often. And so it kind of sets them a little bit into a tangent that it's uncharted territory for them in a way. And so I think that this can be good progress too. It can be good conversation because it's getting them about something in a different way they haven't considered. Because they're very much against the idea of there not being any. There must be something. So along with there must be something, why not multiple? So they may be a little bit more amenable to that possibility. So, and in a sense, that kind of, unfortunately, will shake their faith sometimes.
I probably have the most hard-hitting question probably of this episode. And I prefer to follow evidence, and I'm a skeptic before I'm ever an atheist. And
good.
I'm always trying to find reliable methodology and convincing evidence that can be observed and measured and even replicated, duplicated in some cases. And Randolph, are you actually a Canadian? Because I see no good evidence.
You think I'm overdoing it? Yes, I am Canadian.
You got it.
Sorry,
my parents.
My smart ass, like when my brain, the sarcastic wheels get turning, I can't stop it. So
I think it's on that point though. I think it's so hilarious, and babe, maybe you agree with me that if I see like an American with all their fucking American flags behind them, because I know one person that does that, it's Godless Sewing. And I want to tease him, but I don't. Like, it's all this patriotic American flags left and right shit. And I'm like, why? That's just excessive. And then I see you, Randolph, with your flags. And I may have saw another Canadian that have done this, someone not really well known that did demonstrate the same thing. And I'm like, that doesn't give off the same type of patriotic vibe.
It's not the same vibe, because when I see a white dude in America do that, it's automatically, America, bitch. America, I'll kill you. Q, you know, because that's the, you know, and they got a 4x4 pickup truck sitting in the driveway, right? And they're just ready to run some motherfuckers over, right? It's totally different. It's totally, because I've
It's a
never
different
seen
vibe.
anybody with a Canadian flag that I've ever been like, oh, they're fucking assholes.
So
Point taken. Point made.
the flags behind me, this is the Canadian flag. Up here, it's a variation. We're using the maple leaf section and putting a small letter A to represent Canadian Atheist. That's the Canadian Atheist logo. So while it looks like there's two flags here, there's actually a flag and a logo. A flag and a logo.
A flag and a logo.
Yeah, but they look very similar, so it ends up looking like a lot of flags. I just happen to have this big flag, so every Canadian is entitled to a free flag if they write to the government, and they'll receive one. In their whole lifetime, you're entitled to one here. That's actually covered by our laws. Now, most people don't do that, but I think I did when I was a kid, and this is the one. So, to test if it actually works, and it worked. And they said, that's it, your allotment is full. And next time you request one, there will be a cost to it, but you've got your free one. Here you go.
And for the record, that was not me. And I know you know this, but even for those watching, maybe you've not tuned in before and understand my sarcasm and Randolph and I's friendship and relationship, and we do joke and go back and forth. But no, it's I did that because of what Jena said, because it is totally different. Because when I see an American flag, and Rage kind of hinted at what how I feel about it, but he said the American flag, most Christians false idol. I would go a little step further if we're talking hood language or ghetto language. This is their like, this would be their color. This would be their flat. You know, Crips are blue, Bloods are red. Like Christians, that American flag, like that's their shit. That's their gang shit. That's their crew. And it's like, that represents their shit. And if you're not a Christian, then you're not pro this and then pro that, and you're waving that flag, you're false flagging, dog. And that's how you get killed around this bitch.
There are a couple. Oh, go for it, Anthony.
I don't have a flag on my vehicle. I'm not into that. There were, when the protests were going in February, the illegal protests here, that went on for 3.5 weeks of protesters claiming that their freedoms, the Canadian freedoms, are under attack, and they don't have freedom. They're let to protest for 3.5 weeks. So they had, if their freedoms were really being oppressed, they wouldn't have gone on for 3.5 weeks. And
that's true.
So it was such a ridiculous thing. But there were a few truckers involved in that, and so they started putting up the Canadian flag and trying to make it look like anybody who has a Canadian flag on their vehicle is in support of the protests. And it was an effective manipulation of mass media that they did there. But what the reality is it's normal to see, especially on trucks here in Canada, to have Canadian flags on
that kind of thing. Fair enough.
It's a normal thing, and you see it in other vehicles too. So it was really no different when the protesters came along and tried to make it out like this is a new thing. It wasn't a new thing. Gotcha. It's always been like this, but we don't see a lot. We just see a little bit. And so with them all together, like, they had a whole procession of cars that were blocking the highway here, and they have cell phone blockers, and they go and stop and do their prayer circles and block all the traffic and block all the cell phone signals at the same time, so people can't call and whatnot. It was ridiculous. But only a couple of the trucks had the Canadian flags on them. Almost none of the cars that were part of that procession had any Canadian flags. So
when I in March, when I flew out to LA to see Jena, on my way to the airport, my dad took me to the airport in Indy. They were coming from Canada, and they were going through Indianapolis.
Okay.
And I'm like, and you're exactly right. I saw minimal anything Canadian, but you've got these big dually 4x4 Ford trucks and the semis with their American flags. But here's the problem with these American flag wave motherfuckers. Then you get the rebel flags too. And we already know what that means, motherfucker. Not only are you American, you don't like people that don't share your skin color. We already know about you. You know, so and unfortunately a lot of that, not all the time, but a lot of that there's an intersection there. They kind of go together. Fair enough.
Now, some just little background about the people who organized the protest. That protest, some of them are involved with racism groups, and a couple of them have been involved with trying to remove and Alberta from Canada and join the U.S. These are people who really don't care about Canada. These are people who really don't care about other people because they're involved in racism groups. And those are the people who are falsely claiming that our freedoms are being oppressed. No, they have an idea that they want to screw things up here, and it's not working for them. So they're crying oppression when that's not the case. So sorry, it's an issue that comes up a little bit. And that's fine. Go ahead, Jena. Godless sewing. One time he jokingly said to me, I asked him if I sent him a Canadian flag, would he hang it up on his wall? He said he would. So I should probably do that and see if he does.
Do it.
Well, I was going to apologize to Jena because I totally derailed by going down the Canadian flag, American flag thing. So I apologize. My bad.
No, it's okay.
Yeah. Sorry, Jena. You go ahead. You've been trying to say something.
No, it's okay. I know it was like I had a couple of starred questions from the chat. Still, it's off topic from the original thing, but we'll come back because there is a bit of a section of a clip from one of the live streams that I want to kind of share with the audience, discuss between us and everything like that. And so we'll get to that soon. But prior to those two questions, we have some mad love from Pat Lowinger. Cheap ass bastard rips off the good people of Canada for the logo of his group. Pay for some professional logo development. Oh, that's not love. That's not love.
Thank you for your feedback. I will take it under advisement.
No, that was the Canadian way.
Go ahead, Alice.
I was just going to say, Pat, that was the Canadian way of saying fuck you.
It was. It really was.
That logo for the Canadian Atheists, I went through a number of different possible things. This turned out to be the simplest design, and I thought the most elegant.
It works.
And I purposely use a small letter A. People sometimes try to correct me and say it needs to be an uppercase A. It's in the name. I said, not in this case. And the thing is, when it comes to names of organizations and whatnot, or products, sometimes a lowercase letter can be strategically placed. And in this case, it is because I emphasize atheism as being just classificational, just not believing in deities. It's a doctrine or a system or an ideal that people follow. The baseline fundamental. It can be more than that, and it is to many people. But baseline, not required. So we're trying to emphasize that because we feel that that's the most wide-reaching and supports the most diversity in the atheism demographic, and that's why we do it that way. So that small letter A right in the center there, if I can get that right. I got to work on there we go.
Fair enough.
Skills. That emphasizes that.
Fair enough. Two rapid fire questions. Yeah, there you go. See, 2 rapid fire questions, and then we'll get back to topic here. Here's one from Aunt Jur. Question for Randolph. When I finally make it to Canada, where do I send my request for that to be in my welcome basket?
Well, in her case, she can send a request to Canadian Atheists, and we'll do our best to fulfill that.
Oh. There you go. Direct route, Andrew. Direct route. And this from BrainBug, Bree. Question for Randolph. Is it true that you're so Canadian that your mustache is maple flavored? I'm going to ask that for a friend.
Only sometimes at breakfast. But it's only temporary.
Bounce. Wow, wow.
Wifey in the room.
Jenny,
I don't know what you're thinking of. I'm thinking of pancakes with syrup. So,
oh, so,
and
so are we. So are we.
So are we. So are we.
We do have a super chat.
We were saying, yes, we do have a super chat. There you go.
Yeah, yeah.
we drink.
Laid back.
Super chat for Farron Salas. $4.99. Gotta drop a super chat for having Randolph on the shizzo.
Super chat.
Thank you, Farron. I've seen Farron in many of the live text chats, and we've had some back and forth. It's been very, very nice.
He drinks.
I think. Can you read that, please? I've got something to say.
Hold on. Can I read this one?
Yeah.
I feel like this could go a couple directions here.
Yes, it can.
I call bullshit. Randolph totally drinks maple like Coke.
See, I think the Raging Atheist has some strange views about Coke. I don't think anybody here drinks it.
Yeah, Rage. You have some strange views.
Oh, he means Coca-Cola. Sorry.
I'm a bad boy.
You snort it. No, you drink it.
I've heard some people inject it, but
I think that's never mind. Monetization.
Monetization.
I was about to go on a drug education system there.
Not today. Not today.
that'll be episode 2.
I was be like, well, Randolph, really what you do?
Bring the Raging Atheist on for that one too.
Oh yeah, he's needed. Before I continue, Oz, if you have an additional question, comment.
Are we getting ready to like change gears?
We're gonna change gears.
Okay. One, maybe two. So Randolph, one of the things you and I and well, really since the time you and I met, when we first met, is we've talked about the normalization of atheism, and I think a lot of people just think that that's just a cute slogan, or like for Pasta Mike, just a channel name or a cool hashtag or whatever, and I say it because I think it's just like, especially in our community, it's just this casual normalized atheism, and we sometimes can maybe lose sight of what that actually means and the implications of truly trying to normalize atheism and the disbelief or a lack of belief in a God or a deity. So when you say that, and you and I have that conversation of promoting that that thought or that movement or whatever, what does that mean to you first and foremost? How do you define that? And then what can we, and I know Canada is different, but what can we do, whether it's in Canada or here in the States, what can we do, whether it's incremental steps or they're leaps? What can we do to move us closer and closer to be able to walk into, as Pastor Mike would say, into a school or a courthouse or wherever, and it be 100% acceptable to say, I don't believe?
That's $1 million question. And foremost, I so greatly appreciate your promotion of this. You've been encouraging it and promoting it, and you've been doing fantastically at it. And I thank you. And I think I've thanked you before for it multiple times. And, it's great. We need more people to be promoting this. I set this up originally as a campaign with the hashtag you mentioned, normalize atheism, as a gentle and non-confrontational approach to eliminating any stigma against atheists and responding constructively to vilification, because there's a whole demographic of atheists worldwide who don't believe in goddesses and gods. And, in fact, we're born this way. But as part of the campaign, I don't push that part of it so much because I find that really comes up as confrontational in the perspective of a lot of theists. But it up, I'll say it, no problem. I think the most important thing to try to convey to theists when we're talking about atheism being normal is that atheists are not a threat. And specifically, those of us who are not holding a position counter to theirs that says their deities don't exist are in particular not a threat to them because we're not a threat to their ideas. And I think it also helps if we can somehow help people to separate themselves from the ideas, because a lot of the time people are so entrenched in their ideas that if somebody criticizes the idea, they feel offended themselves. It's like they take it personally. And I think that's a really hard one for a lot of people when they've grown up with being told all their lives that it's one and the same. And I think that's probably one of the most difficult hurdles to get over. But once a person realizes that the person that they're talking to is not there to attack their ideas or to make them look bad, that'll help. And this kind of gentle, non-confrontational approach is kind of what I'm encouraging with this, and you are too, obviously. And you know, if we can show this more, it will help a lot. And everyone's got their different styles and approaches for it. And the most important thing is that I'm not saying that there's one way that people should be doing this. In fact, I consider atheism, and it seems to me that atheism is among the most diverse demographics in the world. So we have different people with different styles. Some people will be quite rude in their approach, and other people will be quite nice in it. If we're able to showcase this diversity consistently, then, you know, theists can gravitate toward the atheists whose style appeals to them and be able to engage in the conversation the way they'd like. And if one day they're in a mood to really go and fight, they can approach an atheist who also likes to battle, and they can go battle royale for a while, and then they can get back to things. And the most important thing with it is to get people talking and getting to know each other. And I'm sorry, I don't have anything really specific to say about what we can do to go forward, but I think every little bit is okay. A couple of things that we can do, actually, come to think of it, is if somebody is promoting the stigmatization of atheists or atheism, or trying to vilify us somehow, objecting to it, even if it's just a minor objection that's simply very polite and soft and says, I disagree, or that's not accurate, or something like that. That's already helpful, because I know a lot of people don't want to get into confrontations, which is okay. It's not for everybody, but if they can at least put some minor objection forward to it, and then people start to see overall over time the larger picture, that when people do try to stigmatize us or try to vilify us, that there are people regularly objecting to it, especially quite politely, mixed in with the other styles, then hopefully the impact will be much greater in the long run for us. I don't think we're going to be able to win this overnight, but and what I mean by winning this is that there are no losers, because what we would win is not being stigmatized, not being vilified, and then this is beneficial to the whole society. This is beneficial to everybody. Like, this comes down to respect. I feel very strongly that everybody, just for being conscious, is deserving of at least a minimal amount of respect, just for that alone. Some people deserve more because they do things trying to help a lot of people and other things, and are respectful. And there's other people who deserve less respect, but that's all based on their behaviors. But that basic level of respect, if it's always there, and people are at least always thinking about how they can keep that in mind when talking with people, because there are some people out there who won't do this. But if we can kind of do this kind of thing, it can result in a better global society for all of us in the long run. I think that's just my view on it. it's I'm an optimist.
Well, and there's no, like you said, there's no, I mean, one answer. If there was just one answer, we would already be there, right? And just like if there was one answer, one good proof or one good evidence for a God, we wouldn't serve them necessarily, but we would acknowledge that the God is real. None of us have those absolute answers, right? It's about what can we do in putting our brains together collectively to advance or create more awareness and again normalize this thing right? That is so that they and not, and this is a conversation, maybe we can do another episode and just talk about this, but they do see us as a threat today, point blank, especially here in America.
I would love this conversation. Hell yeah.
Me too.
They do see us as a threat. We are a threat to them because of what you said, Randolph, and especially in the evangelical charismatic movement here in the States, that they harp on the scriptures like your identity is in Christ. Christ is your identity. So it's wrapped up in that. So when you are opposed to Yahweh or Jesus Christ, you are now opposed to them because those two figures, the part of the Trinity, and the Godhead, you're now attacking them and their deity. So,
and I will say, oh, sorry.
You go ahead, Jena.
No, I thought I was cutting you off, Oz.
Well, no, you're good, because I had one more question that's
okay.
There's one response to that, but I want to hear Jena.
Yes, to attach to that, yes, and to add to that, now since we are individuals that deny Jesus Christ, we deny God or any other gods for that matter. Now, the immediate idea in their heads is like, well, where do you ground your morals? So if you don't ground your morals, then you can just do bad things, just do bad things. So that's even on top of the other threats that we, mentioned. That's the additional threat. Now we're considered to be baby eaters and potential rapists or murderers because we have no moral ground or understanding or attach our morals to anything. So why would we ever know the difference between good and bad if we don't equip that to God, which makes no absolute sense?
No, you're right. It cuts. Part of this normalized atheism thing is this perpetuation of making us feel ashamed about who we are. That we are wrong somehow. We're not following the status quo of a bunch of people around us who believe, and we're not like them. And it's one of the problems that I see inherent of all religions, is that it has this demand for conformity, and it's wrong. So because atheism doesn't demand conformity, people are free to become religious at any time if they want to start believing. There's nothing in atheism stopping people from that, but religion often has things built in to discourage people from leaving. So that to me is poisonous to society, because it causes people to feel a preemptive sense of shame for changing their view on it. That's what we need to stop, because it's not healthy for people to have false sense of shame.
And Jena, let's definitely do a part 2 of this, but it be specifically on this conversation, because I could go off on an hour. Now, it won't be 6 hours, Randolph. I'm sorry to disappoint you.
I'm not disappointed. That's okay with me.
Saving his booty.
I'm easygoing.
Because at least in the States, and this is my reality. My perspective is my reality. Even a lot of the things that we're talking about, I do appreciate 100% what Randolph is saying, what Jena, what you're saying. It is like dead on. But then what we forget, and sometimes is left out, and I know it's unintentional, but the victimhood of Christians and the persecution mentality of Christians is just simply because I don't believe what you believe. That means I'm attacking you. That means I'm out to get you. That means I'm out to take something from you. Motherfucker, I don't give a fuck what you believe. Just keep it the fuck away from me. That's all I'm saying.
Don't impose it on me, you mean? Yeah.
Don't try to shove that shit down my throat. Keep it out of the schools, keep it out of the court system. As long as you do that, like Hitch said, and then I'll go on my last question. you can have your toys, motherfuckers. You can have your toys. Play with your toys. Enjoy your toys. But don't bring your toys to my house. I don't want to play with your toys. Yes, thank you. I don't want to play with your toys. And I don't want my kids playing with your toys. Keep them shits at your fucking house, and you play with your toys.
Right.
So we kept going, but originally Randolph had a perfect segue to it, and I couldn't jump in time, but it's still going to fit.
Let's hear it.
So along the line of normalizing atheism, now let's focus on, and when I say fuck the theists, it's not, it's just for this conversation, but your relevance for this part of the conversation. As you know, Randolph, we a month or so ago started the Atheist Your Way, or hashtag Atheist Your Way.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Kind of sub brand, or whatever, to TANG, and
and I saw that. I thought right away, here's another example of the diversity that we see in our demographic.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, that we should see, because that's where I agree with you. That's what we should see. That's what we should see. The problem B, it's only diverse, and we're talking about the YouTube community right now, that we all experience. We all have friendships and relationships with right now, because I don't know atheists all across the world in real life.
Okay.
It's only diverse as long as you are diverse the way certain people want you to be diverse, and you have to atheist according the way they want to atheist, or you're not really atheisting the right way, which is where Atheist Your Way came from. So like for me, I don't do philosophy. Fuck your philosophy. Okay, I don't give a shit about it. Philosophy does not get us to God. Get us to God. And the only person I've ever heard say a theological argument got them to a God, it was Allah, and that was Justin. That's the only motherfucker I've ever heard say that shit. So I don't philosophize. I don't do any of that. You know what I want to do? I want to talk to real people about real life and real things, because philosophy, when I'm sitting at the bar and I'm getting to know somebody, and they start like dumping their life story, and we're vibing and talking, and I feel like I can help this person, I'm not well, what you just said is that's a fallacy. That's a fallacy. You can't talk like that. That is terrible reasoning. That's fallacious. We don't do that shit. We don't do that shit. So you don't get to tell me that if I'm actually atheisting correctly, I have to do A, B, and C. I get the fuck out of here, because that's what that now sounds like. That now sounds like the same dogmatic bullshit that religion feeds. Is you have to do it and be programmed to do it this way, or you're not a true Christian, or you're not a true Muslim. So that kind of trying to give that context, Randolph. And when you hear, Atheist Your Way, or whatever something similar, might be that you've seen or heard like that, how do we as a community, how do we be better at it not being cookie cutter, and it not being like we have to duplicate and make robots out of the most popular ones?
How can I put this in the best blonde way so that everybody can understand? Would be nonconformist like everybody else. So what you're hitting at there is this demand that people conform to some kind of standard, and it really isn't necessary. I think I'm a big proponent of people being free who they are, who they want to be. I think that this should be encouraged. The more diversity we have in the world, the more advantages and opportunities we can find from it. I disagree with politicians who say diversity is a strength, because I think of it more as it's not a strength. It can just as much be a weakness, but it's overall, I think it's advantageous. There's disadvantages too, but I think overall there's more advantage, because we end up with more exposure to more ideas. So overall, I give it definitely an A+, passing grade on it if I was to do that. Yeah, I would just suggest anybody who's tell you how you should behave, and this way and not that way, that's most likely a problem. If it's something, unless it's like that's illegal, going and vandalizing that place is wrong. That's sensible. That's reasonable. But I mean, like, if they're talking about what you should believe and what you should do, then as I've said to people, be your own leader. Leaders have a purpose. They're helpful for getting things together in a general way. But the mistake people make about leaders, I find, is the notion that the leader has their best interests in heart. And they'll say leaders have everyone's best interests in heart. That's impossible. You can't do that because there are too many people with differing interests. So a leader may have good intentions to do that, but it's an impossible mission. So who's best qualified to determine what's best for you? Most likely it's you. Absolutely. So have no shame in being your own leader, choosing for yourself, making your own path. And I touched on this in the debate that I was in with the Muslim apologist on Modern Day Debate just a few weeks ago in my opening statement. So that'll be, if anybody's interested to hear that, I do touch on this a fair bit.
Real quick, this has nothing to do with this right now. I just wanted to really quick.
And I want to comment on what you said about the debate, so about fallacies. So go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Just really quick, that way I don't forget it. And then I'm gonna put my AirPods in and listen, but I'm about to burst. I've got to use the restroom. I'm sorry.
We got an intermission.
Hold on. It's right here. Where'd it go?
So while you're just looking that up, I'll just quickly say that with what you mentioned about people talking about, that's a fallacy. When I'm in debates, I try very hard to make sure I don't say, oh, that's a fallacy, because I think that can lose the audience. So I agree with you, Oz. I think there's an appropriate time and place for philosophy, and most conversations are not it. And even debates, I try to talk about what the issue is instead of identifying it as a fallacy, and then who knows where the conversation goes.
I like that.
Yeah, fuck your fallacies. I don't give a goddamn about your fucking fallacies.
It really doesn't matter what they're called. Let's deal with the problem.
You know what I call it? You know what I call it? As soon as I start hearing that shit and motherfuckers throwing it around like it means they're like fucking smarter than somebody, I just pretend in my head that they're saying fellatio. That way it's fucking entertaining to me.
It's an argument from fellatio.
That's an argument from fellatio. Suck that atheist dick. Anyway, the raging atheist. I just want to say, I've been trying to keep up in there, but first and foremost, like you from the very first time we talked, like 2 years ago when we started our channel, like, yes, you and I have always had different ways that we approach certain things, but at the end of the day, our passion and our zeal and our love for humans is, and sometimes overwhelms us, and the passion bleeds maybe a little too far sometimes. But I don't think that's a bad thing. But we also have to be conscious of ourselves and aware of ourselves and know where we're at and what do we need to do to make sure we're staying healthy, whether it's physically, emotionally, mentally, that kind of thing. And I just wanted to take a minute and tell you, I love you, dude. I love you. You're my dude. And we're like, we are the like the opposite. Like we're the twin YouTube brothers that are the same but very opposite. But then, boy, when it comes together, it's fireworks.
I enjoyed the stream of you and him on his channel. By the way, that was y'all hit it. Yeah,
we don't play. But that, and then privately, man. Anytime you need to message me, get a hold of me, I'll give you my fucking personal number, dude. Like I'm here for you, and I want you to know that. And you need anything, holla at your boy.
You got love here, Rage.
Rage has my number too.
Oh shit! Well, you want my dick? No, it's good. What? I didn't. It's not like that, babe. Not like that. Intermission. Perfect intermission time. We can take an intermission, 2-3 minutes. That way. What?
We do, no, by all means, I'll play a video.
Yes.
Or
Also
we can
play a
just
video.
go- or we can do the video clip.
No, well, that's after the intermission. We're gonna take a break.
Okay.
Intermission means break. We're gonna take a break, 2-3
Oh.
minutes.
I'm not used to
This is very rare because it's been a lot of discussion. Plus, Oz needs to pee, so we need to
You
handle
guys can keep
business.
going.
Huh? No, I want to get up too. I'm hungry.
Oh, okay. Well, so professional.
It's so perfect. It's been a long. I don't eat on screen unless it's like meals after party. That's the only fucking time. It's been a long fucking day, but we've talked good shit so far, and I think it'll be a great place to kind of take a pause and then go into the video clip so we can chop that up too. So, folks, if you want to stick for us just for a quick 2-3 minutes, go grab
Sure.
your tea, coffee, weed, whatever floats your boat. I'm not
No,
promoting that
yeah.
YouTube. I'm sorry.
Hold on, give me a second so I can pull a video up.
Okay. While Oz is finding a vigia, yes, we are going to intermission. I'm going to keep saying that. Intermission so we can take a break, so we can pee, sip on some drink, food, relax. Randolph, any parting words during this intermission?
Enjoy your freedom for the next few minutes.
Enjoy your freedom for the next few minutes. Don't y'all go anywhere. I'm watching the viewer count. You sit your ass right there or just keep the video going while we're in this intermission. And just for you, Carlitha. God damn it. Oz, are you there yet?
He's getting there.
He's good there, yes.
Oh,
Intermission.
okay.
Here we go.
This looks promising.
We'll be back, y'all.
Hurry up with my damn massage. Hurry up with my yop. I am a god. I am a god.
That sounded nice.
It is Oz DJ last night.
Guess we're back on the stream now.
We are. We're just waiting
Hello,
for the
everybody.
lovely Ozzy to come. There he is.
This is so formal, an intermission. This is great.
Let me take that banner off. My bad. Yes. First time on the Chopping It Up show to have an intermission.
That's two firsts. You know, their first is this is the first time I've done any formal show like this from a future studio that I've been building.
Yeah, sweet. For the what show? With
The
whom?
True North Talk.
Coming in 2047.
Woo! I'll still be alive, maybe. Maybe. We'll see.
We're hoping much sooner than that, but the challenge I have is I have a mortgage to pay, so I work on this for as much time as I do have. So
Hey, everybody got lives.
and
Everybody got
I
bills.
so greatly appreciate the enthusiasm and support and encouragement that I get from so many people on this. I
I
hope
am waiting to make be the first caller and make it be a crank call. I'm waiting for
Okay.
me to be that person.
You think
Oz
I'll be
too.
you think I'll be able to handle your trolling? Okay.
No.
You never met a troll. To this player right here, I be trolling these street. I gotta stop. I'm embarrassing myself. All right, moving on.
I'm very interested to learn from you because I've done it professionally in the past, but we can talk about that some other time.
Babe, we're moving along, babe. We're
What
moving
just
along.
happened? What just happened? What
Nothing.
just happened? Did you just say you come from the streets?
I've come from the streets of trolling. Yay, yay. I gotta stop.
Trolling, ride.
That is the white that is the white response.
You sure you're ready to troll me?
Yeah. Yeah. Oz is barely ready for me.
I hope you didn't just break Oz.
For the second time live, I just officially broke Oz. The other time was Neil suggesting we should have a three-way. It's recorded. It happened.
I vaguely remember something about that. Okay.
Oh, there's a clip. There's a clip on the channel. There's a clip.
Neil doesn't want that.
That's CLIP clip. Okay.
Neil does not want that. I would drag him around by his ponytail.
Anywho, we have a clip. We have a clip that we're gonna watch. So basically, this is as if most of you have not tuned into the every fortnight episode streams from the politics Discord, and if you haven't, shame on you, shame on you, I'm shaming you right now. This is pretty much a screen pretty much recording of the Discord and your YouTube chat, and basically you just hear people talk. There are no faces, you just hear people conversing. So this particular clip I wanted to play I thought was quite interesting. The guy that is the theist in the panel amongst you all, his name is Autumn, and he'll explain himself, but I wanted to bring this up only because it seems like within the conversation amongst you all, he was actively trying to work out his reasons for it and posited his own, typical Christianese reasons for like faith and things like that. But I think it would be unique and not as trolly as other ones were, and not as kind of, how do you say, condescending as others. This one seemed quite genuine and fair for us to kind of discuss and chop up. So we ready?
We have had a few trolls, and
yes, quite a few. And let me try and be professional and share my freaking screen. I don't know why I don't have this prepped beforehand. Typical Jena. All right, where is it? Here it is.
You're better organized. My experience.
I talk big game like I am, but sometimes I can't get it together. All right. So let me add that. Okay. So I'll kind of, y'all let me know when you want me to stop, or I'll stop at a certain point. I think this particular, the beautiful thing about, I will compliment you, Randolph. You actually took the goddamn time to timestamp this shit.
Oh, set up
And
the
this,
chapter. Yeah.
yeah, and this particular one is over 7 hours long. So I'll ask this quick question: do you actively take notes while these streams occur so you can timestamp them later, or do you go back and timestamp them?
Lately, I've been doing that, but I find that I still have to go back and listen to make sure I get the timestamps just right. And what I'm doing sometimes is I'm starting the chapter after some little back and forth introductory stuff that doesn't matter. Like they're not even introducing; they're just hello, hello, hello. I skip those and try to get started right at the beginning of the conversation, so it's easy for people to zip along and find things without wasting much time.
That is legit dedication. I love that. That made it so much easier for me to watch certain stuff. If I especially wanted to skip Ortangelo and his bullshit, I can just be, oh, nope, next one.
Thank you. I appreciate that, because that does take effort to do that. So I'm really glad that you found that useful.
Oh, heck yeah. And if you are not watching these, shame on you. Shame on you. Okay, here we go.
I don't watch them.
Demand for conformity again. Tisk, tisk.
Mm-hmm. That's okay, Dr. Oz. I'll spank you later. All right, let's go.
So I'm your typical like Christian believer, I guess you could say, but I have more so like a couple questions that could be interesting for you guys, maybe food for thought. So one of the things that I was also an atheist agnostic like in the past, and I became a Christian because either ignorance or lack of evidence of atheism being correct.
Hey, hang on. We're not even there yet, hon.
That's why I don't listen to this shit.
You're already calling bullshit?
No, it's bullshit.
Okay. All right. Randolph, any comments? Do you remember this conversation?
I do remember this person was a good conversation, and yeah, I enjoyed it. I'll just comment quickly for your audience what they're seeing on the screen here. In the center, the Discord has a feature called Stages, and like they have voice chats, but they also have stages that are audio only. There's no video capability in them, so that's why you don't see any live video on this. And in the top middle section are the people who are on the stage. So the whole panel, we're all there, and Autumn is one of the guests from the audience who's come up to present a challenge to us. Below us, all those circles are icons and names of the people who are in the audience. On the right-hand side is probably everybody's favorite, the YouTube live text chat, as many people are partaking in now. And on the left-hand side is the Discord live text chat. And the Discord channel has been set to not allow people to post images, but they can post GIFs, which take from a repository of images that are pre-approved by Discord. So YouTube doesn't support images, just little emoticons. So that's the layout of this. So that way people in both the text chats can be included in the video as well.
Just
very well explained.
Really real quick, just a random observation from a high school dropout with ADHD. The reason I can't fuck with Discord stage or Clubhouse, okay, and they're both for one reason. I will be goddamned if anyone's going to tell me, before you speak, raise your hand. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Apparently that's an issue.
I would have liked it better if they would say request to join the stage instead of raise your hand.
Raise your hand, please.
Yeah, but you know, I agree with you, Oz. It does seem a little funny.
It does.
Oh, I'll raise my hand, all right, but it ain't to talk.
Oh. Oh God. Okay.
So on the left there, you can see someone posted one of the GIFs. Some people get pretty interesting, and I try to post different GIFs throughout the thing to keep it interesting.
As you do. As you do.
I like to post GIFs, but yeah, go
ahead. Jesus.
But one question I do want to ask is, if your capacity to believe in God is, like, let's say for everybody on this panel is absolute zero, so there's no shadow of a doubt that there is no evidence that God exists to you, and you have no faith of said God existing.
That's not me.
That's not you?
No, I don't believe. I'm just not convinced, but I can't say that there's absolutely no evidence.
Okay.
I think there's no.
Well, I don't mean to speak for everybody on this panel. I guess I'm characterizing everybody here as an atheist, but
Yeah, I'm an atheist.
okay. But
Most of us are. Jack Burton is a deist.
what does that mean? Sorry, I'm a little bit.
God created the universe and then stopped intervening afterwards.
It's bullshit.
That's an interesting perspective. I've never heard about that before. I'll have to look into it. But one thing that I learned going back into Christianity was there's a saying called the only amount of faith that you need to believe in God to move a mountain or something like that was like the amount of faith of a mustard seed, which is apparently the smallest seed that exists. And when
That's not true.
No, I didn't. I meant like one of the smallest seeds to exist, not the smallest, but one of. When I was still agnostic, atheist to a certain degree, I asked myself, like almost akin to a prayer. When I really thought and introspected that, do I have the faith and the capacity that God existed? And ever since then, that answer for me has been yes. I kind of want to turn this onto you guys a little bit. I know that I'm supposed to convince you that God exists, but I kind of want to be convinced that my faith in God existing is either irrational or unneeded or is, logically fallible in any.
Okay.
Like, I feel like he's asking us for some advice on his perspective on what's the way to hold it. No, I find that to be quite a nice question.
What? Randolph, you're too nice. You're too nice. You're too Canadian. Jesus.
I've exceeded some limit here. Okay.
Mm-hmm. That's why I wanted to play this. Go ahead, babe.
No, it's Randolph's video. He can go first, and I'll follow up because I'm sure it's not going to be. I'm talking about the color or whatever. It's not going to be nice. What I'm going to say.
Go ahead, Oz. That's fine.
Oh yeah, I can tell he's full of shit. I can tell he's full of shit. I can tell he's full of shit. There is absolutely no reasoning in what he's doing, and then to turn around and I do. We're not supposed to do this and do that, but I would like to turn it on to you guys to tell me that my belief is irrational. And why? Huh? What? That's not even rational. That line of thinking isn't even rational.
I will say I dislike when the obvious purpose of the panel is you come on up here, you get on stage, convince us. Don't ask us questions. Don't propose this, that, or the other, or suggest that you may be thinking this way, or posit your statement as, oh, I used to be an agnostic atheist. I used to not believe, but then I believed. So I want to ask you this, guys. Blah, blah, capacity, blah, blah, belief. I dislike that immensely when someone wants to come out the gate posing what they think our reasoning is instead of just coming forth with evidence.
Well, and real quick, to finish my point, so you come out. I was an atheist. And now I'm a Christian. I'm not pumping the brakes. I've already slammed the brakes because I'm like, what? This has to be good. This has to be really, really fucking good evidence. Like this shit, we got to be getting up to our knees at least in evidence, right? But then you're on a show like this where there's a lot of really, really smart people here that are talking about philosophy and theology and doctrine and yada. And then the word deism comes up as what's deism? Never heard of that before. What? What?
Jesus. Randolph.
And you're getting on here trying to have arguments for God or not God. And then as soon sorry, my internet fucked up. But then instead of presenting evidence for said God that you now believe in, it's like, and I know I'm not supposed to do this, but I'm now going to switch the burden of proof to you, atheist, and say, tell me why it's irrational. The fact that you had to build that whole spider web already tells us that it's irrational, dumbass.
We've had a few people try to put the questions onto us like that. That is a technique that people like Darth Dawkins love to use. And a lot of apologists will do this. They'll try to shift the burden of proof, or in my case, create a burden of proof, because I don't hold any beliefs to begin with on the subject that they're talking about. But I do also see that him asking for our view of whether he's irrational, coming up to this panel, in a sense, is almost like he's asking for someone to give him a reason to stop believing. He's maybe struggling with, he may be in the process of trying to try to square it in his mind how to deconvert. Like some people, they need to have some way of justifying it and rationalizing it before they can make the switch. Yes. And maybe that's the case for him. And that's kind of what I'm hoping for.
But I know, and see this is where and I will say this right now, hard stop. This is where Randolph is 1 billion, quadrillion, zillion, all the illions times more charitable and kind than I am. Because the fact that you came on and said, I'm an atheist, and now of all fucking things, you either, if the next thing out of your mouth is either Christian or Muslim, fuck you. I'm already calling bullshit. Because if you were an atheist, and I'm not talking about the people like that John guy on TikTok where it's like, I was an atheist. Well, no, once I interviewed you and got to know you, you were never an atheist. You just didn't know shit about it. You didn't grow up around it. But you didn't have a disbelief for God. You just didn't know any of it existed.
Yes, and I appreciate you both saying what you're saying, because I know what happens are what more he says after this to more Oz's point, the reasons why he calls bullshit, because you'll get hints of where he just automatically falls on Christianity, and to also Randolph's point, to where you can kind of feel and actively see in his further silence and conversation with everyone on the panel how it just feels like he's kind of consciously working it out in his head. So both of you valid, but let's continue.
Well, but hold on.
Yes.
No, I understand what you're saying, but that even what you just said, that's a jump, because we don't see and we don't know. The only thing we have to deal with is the evidence and the argumentation. Fair. We don't get to go on feels. It doesn't matter what we feel about what's happening in the stream. What we have to deal with is the argumentation that the person is putting forward. And so far, all we've heard is, I don't have evidence. I went from atheism to Christianity. I don't have evidence. I don't know what deism is, even though I want to get on here and make deistic or godlike arguments. But then as soon as it comes time for me to present the argument, I fold and then challenge the atheist to tell me why I'm irrational. That's bullshit.
All right.
So I see that when he asks, he doesn't know what a deist is. I do take a different approach. I think it's perhaps quite valid. There are people who don't know. Like, some people are very much in their silos, their tunnels, that they don't see the rest. Like, there's a meme out there showing some Christians saying they have their book, and then Muslims saying we have our book. And then they show Bill Nye and Neil deGrasse Tyson, and they're with a whole bunch of books saying these people need more books. So they're seeing one thing. They study this one idea, and they're not getting exposed to it. It's sort of like these religious studies at some of these Christian universities. They're teaching theology, but the only thing they teach in that theology is the Christian one. They're not really talking about the others. So people have a limited knowledge set because they're not exposed to these different ideas. So by him coming on the show and saying, I'm just assuming he's honestly telling me that he doesn't know, he's not familiar with what deism is. So I think, okay, here's an opportunity to expose him, to introduce him to some new concepts that can, give him something more to think about and more to know about. Maybe that can help him to kind of have a better perspective, develop a better perspective on believing things that are not real. Because if he can see examples of other things, and maybe that can help him. That's what I'm hoping for. You know, I don't know what his real reason is for that.
But in any of these conversations, any of this, whether it's one of the three of us or anyone, and not even to do with a God claim, let's talk about whether it's business, finances, anything like that. When is assuming one's position ever a smart play?
Never.
Right. I agree.
And that's where I used to be there. I used to do the whole, well, I will concede. I no longer concede. I no longer assume anything, because it always comes back to bite me, because it's used to manipulate. It's used as a tool to get an upper hand in a conversation. So I no longer do that. I don't assume that you came in with good intentions. I don't assume that you came in to be charitable.
That's the assumption I'm making. Yeah. Okay. All right.
And that's where I set it up top, where Randolph is 1 trillion billion gazillion times more kind and more gracious and more charitable. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because he's the godfather of atheism, the reason I'm not.
You know how much I appreciate that, Oz, you coming up with that moniker for me. I'm just still so delighted by that. Thank you.
He loves it. He loves it. Have we worked it out, gentlemen? We can move forward.
We're good. We're good.
Oh, yeah. We've been good the whole time.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you explain what your reasons were initially for believing?
One sec. I want to ask, how is your faith in God any different than people's faith in the spaghetti monster or any of the other gods or Santa Claus? Or like, what's the difference between your faith and faith in anything anybody could believe in?
I don't necessarily think that there's any difference, because honestly, you could call it any kind of God that you want to. The only reason why I subscribe to the Christian faith is because it's the most familiar to me and I understand it the most.
Don't you think that many of those kinds of faiths are irrational?
Got him.
What do you say? I missed it.
I'll rewind it. That's okay. I'm surprised you missed that. Got it.
I was reading the chat. That's my bad.
No, you're good. You're good. Hold on one sec. Right about here.
That God existed. And ever since then, that answer for me has been yes. I kind of want to turn this onto you guys a little bit. I know that I'm supposed to convince you that God exists, but I kind of want to be convinced that my faith in God existing is either irrational or unneeded, or is, logically fallible in any way.
Can you explain what your reasons were initially for believing?
One sec. I want to ask, how is your faith in God any different than people's faith in the spaghetti monster or any of the other gods or Santa Claus? Or like, what's the difference between your faith and faith in anything anybody could believe in?
I don't necessarily think that there's any difference, because honestly, you could call it any kind of God that you want to. The only reason why I subscribe to the Christian faith is because it's the most familiar to me and I understand it the most.
Game over. I'd be done. Game over. Game the fuck over.
And that's why Oz's point in the beginning was highly valid, because he said that shit. He's already prescripted and trained and is familiar with Christianity, even when he was supposedly an agnostic atheist.
So if we're going to talk, whether it's Socratic or on street, terms of street epistemology, he didn't just say it. He got an alley-oop and slam fucking dunked that shit like Shaquille O'Neal. That my methodology is bullshit. My methodology on how I reached my belief is bullshit, and there's no way that I can demonstrate and show you a reliable pathway to get to my belief. Game over. We're done here.
There you go. What is everyone's favorite cheesecake?
Cheesecake.
I like baked New York cheesecake with strawberry or something, or blueberry or something on top.
Lemon raspberry, or anything with mango.
Mine is bacon maple.
What?
Oh, that
bacon
sounds
maple cheesecake.
Oh fuck yeah!
That sounds Canadian.
That sounds really Canadian.
It's a
have to give that a try, Oz.
It's like 2 or 3 or 4 foodgasms in your mouth all at once.
You are a man that loves bacon.
I fucking love bacon. Assalamu alaikum, bitch.
Jesus. Okay, moving on. We caught him. We we were, and then we got to the part where we got him. So let's move on.
Don't you think that many of those kinds of faiths are irrational?
I guess it would depend. Like if the faith is like our God believes in murdering and raping women and children, and that's their God, I would kind of find that irrational. But if it's like somebody who is just another Christian or Buddhist or a Muslim or any of those sorts, I don't think that those other religions are irrational either, because for a while when I was going through like my whole journey of learning about religion and philosophy, I went through those religions too. So I understand those two very...
Stop.
Oh my gosh. I know. I think I know what I was going to say. Yeah.
Stop this shit. This is a dishonest fucking lying piece of shit. He just said, down my path of philosophy and theology and all that. You didn't know what deism is? Bitch, you're a fucking liar. You're a fucking liar.
I found it interesting. He's describing these horrific characteristics of deities, including the Christian God, and then he's saying that's not the Christian God. What? Yeah, AR.
It is the Christian God.
There you go. AR described it better than me. Yep.
Drink to that.
Cheers.
Yeah, this dude's a dishonest piece of shit.
I knew this was going to be a good one.
I went down the pathway of philosophies and theologies and shit, and ended up at the Christian gods, dude. But I don't know what. Did you say geism? Like a gi, like karate? Like karate, like a karate belt? Oh, you said deism. Deism. My bad.
You know why Oz both should be on the panel and won't do it.
I think Oz should start a monthly show called Street Philosophy. That'd be awesome.
Randolph, half of the atheist community already hates me.
Yeah, but okay.
I can already hear it. I can already hear it now, and then I would alley-oop it back to it. Like, hey, Randolph is the godfather of atheism. He is the nicest motherfucker in atheism, and he's the one that teed me up and told me to do this shit. First of all,
I'll take the blame.
I'm sorry that I don't philosophize the way you do. I'm sorry that I don't do it the way you do, but your reasoning is fallacious, bitch.
Oz, that was a great Schweddy Eddie impression.
Schweddy Eddie.
Schweddy Eddie. All right, let's continue.
Shallow extent.
Why is it more rational to think that God is like the Christian God than God is like a rapey, murdery God? What's the difference?
Like a permitting God who allows that to happen? Or
sure.
like, suggests that to happen?
Either one.
Or the God of the Old Testament.
like you said,
as far as I know,
God was
the Bible that says that God is permitting of rape, but there's also nothing in the Bible that says that you shouldn't rape.
Okay, so you.
Oh, Jesus. But there's also no reference in the Bible that you shouldn't rape. Hint, hint. What? Now that one killed me.
This is why I don't know. And obviously, I love you both. I don't know how or why the fuck you sign up for this shit.
I don't sign. I listen. I tune in. It's entertaining for me. It's entertaining. It's entertaining.
This literally what makes me want to like throat punch people.
Sorry, Oz. That's not the.
No, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. This guy's a fucking dumbass. It's not your fault that he doesn't understand that whether the Bible says it or not, you probably shouldn't rape people.
God.
Jesus fucking Christ. Assalamu alaikum, bitch. Play the video. I'm just going to keep going.
I know.
You said that believing in a God that wants to rape and kill people is irrational. Believing in the Christian God is rational. Why is believing in a God who likes to kill people irrational, but believing in the Christian God is rational?
You could probably attribute that to our culture and society and just how we interact with one another. We, as a society in the United States, have deemed like rape and murder as bad and illegal. So
what does that have to do with rationality? So you're saying that whatever we culturally accept is rational?
I guess you could say
What
that.
is
Yeah.
happening?
Isn't that
I think
rational?
that's the best way to put it. Yeah.
So our subjective preferences, like rationality to me, is things that correspond to logic and evidence. But you seem to be defining rational as that which it's our cultural biases.
Tom Jump's doing really well here.
I wouldn't necessarily think that's all that how I see rationality to be. It's a bit of a shallow definition of it, but I agree with your definition of rationality. But what I'm trying to say is the rationality that I put behind like a God who would permit murder and rape as attributed to the Christian God who might not be accepting of those two things are rational and irrational because it is part of the Christian belief to
But what if it's a part of
not to be kind, but to love your enemies and stuff like that?
Oh Lord. Okay.
Yeah. He's all over the place.
Yeah, so can we stop here and just go into some questions before we wrap up?
We can stop here. We can stop.
And do you have any questions, babe, before I go the fuck off?
I just noticed the guy's all over the place, you know. Just
That's usually the sign of a good liar.
No further questions, Your Honor. I yield my time.
So Randolph, and I've asked this to a couple other atheists in the community, and it ties into this, and this is literally the only conversation, like the 5 minutes or whatever that we watched on high speed or whatever, the only one that I've heard from that. So I don't know how many times rape has tried to been minimized or anything like that. So I'm just going off this one conversation, but unfortunately from theists, we hear it all the time, whether it's rape, child molestation, any type of abuse, misogyny, blah, 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 blah. You go on down.
It was okay to kill the Amalekites because God ordered it and stuff like that.
Kill them firstborn babies.
Yeah.
So I believe they're no, I don't believe. I know there's a place for debate, and there needs to be a challenging of ideas, bad ideas, beliefs, bad beliefs, why we do that. The more I hear these things and like that, like I'm outraged because not only does it piss me off, but I think about all of the people that have been raped or molested or abused in the name of these gods or religions or bad beliefs. And I think about well, I'll just say because it's our channel, so I don't give a fuck. And I'll name it out. You don't have to, Randolph. But I think about all the atheists that I see on modern day debates, and I see the level of disgusting, toxic bullshit that is weekly spewed from that platform that I know could be triggering for so many people, whether it be going into depression, suicidal thoughts, regrets, things like that. At what point does it get to where, okay, we're challenging bad ideas, or we get to the point where we're now, whether it's intentional or not, or unintentional, but we are indirectly promoting it. We're indirectly giving it a platform. We're indirectly giving it a voice or an influence, because that's my problem with and more of the bigger channels like that, modern day debates. There's one or two others I have in mind that I won't mention, but I do that one specifically because of the most recent debates I've seen on there, and I'm disgusted by it. And I'm
there have been disgusting topics. More, yeah.
I'm done with people being quiet about it. So when do we get to the point where it's like, okay, we're challenging bad ideas to where it's like, okay, it's not even healthy to do this publicly. We need to do this privately. This is no longer healthy for others, for the other people listening. It's no longer healthy to do this publicly. When do we shift? Because we need to be, if we're humanists, we need to be thinking about those people.
It's a tough call. I think if there's people objecting to those bad ideas, that's a heck of a lot better than just showcasing them and not saying anything at all, right? The problem I have with not showcasing some of these people is that if we don't let these people get their ideas out, it almost can start to turn into censorship. And even though they may not be intended, I worry that it could go that way. And that runs counter to my belief in freedom of expression. Now, I think that we need to be selective certainly in who we're going to put on the stage. If you're running a show about ethics, and then you bring on criminals to talk about justifying their ideas, then that of course is a problem, because it runs counter to what the intention of the show is. So if we're doing this to try to counter the ideas and expose them, then I think that is a good thing. We're going through, I think, worldwide, we're in an age now where more and more people can criticize religion and bad ideas. And so we're going to see more of this happening, unfortunately. My hope is that it will help people to see the really poisonous aspects of these collections of ideas that are called religions, and at least be more willing to challenge them and pick and choose parts from them. I think what we need more of is debunking of the ideas, because it seems that there's a lot less of that going on these days, and there's more people are just doing stuff for shock value. So with our program, of course, we are accepting the challenge, and like the willingness for people to bring a challenge to us, and then we are pushing back against it in various ways that hopefully help people to think more. If we stop talking about all these ideas, these bad ideas, then they can get another stranglehold on society, and that's the fear I have. It's like the dirty work. Somebody has to clean up the mess when somebody's vandalized something, right? It's a hard one. I think if that's fine.
Real quick, because I don't want to forget, because you made a point there that I think is very important to talk about. Is, well, first of all, like freedom of speech. I always love what Telltale says about our rights, whether it's in Canada or in the U.S., our constitutional rights or whatever. Your rights end where mine begin.
Right.
You don't get to violate me. That's not how this shit works.
I like that too.
And the problem, the problem, or not problem, the concern I have in that approach is it that we're trying to facilitate challenging the ideas, and maybe we are pure in motive and thought when we're doing that. But again, indirectly, are we causing more harm than we are good in trying to do that? So we think we're doing the right thing. Our motives are to do the right thing, but we're actually causing more hurt, or we're maybe there's several folks with PTSD, or anything like that we're causing more damage. And at what point is it not worth it to publicly display the ignorance and the hate and the bigotry, to where because the way I look at it is, the more I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. The more I'm starting to view it, and this is still a kind of a new approach for me, that the more I'm watching and analyzing and just listening, the more we do this, we're giving them the megaphone. we're handing them the megaphone and saying, spew your shit. And unless whether it's you or what's his name's at modern day debates or whatever, do we have data? Now we're skeptics, right?
Yeah.
Do we have data in all of these conversations where we're challenging these bad ideas? Are we actually helping to change minds? And if we're not, why are we platforming?
So I think that this is a very important question, and you know, I'm sure you're going to keep asking, as you should. Perhaps this is something that you can look into further and emphasize more. I think this is right up your alley, because you're the first person I know who's asking this. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the correct answer is. I wish I did.
That's fair.
That's fair.
Yeah. Okay. I'd have to look at them on a case-by-case basis. If somebody's instructing someone else to commit acts of violence, illegal acts, or to hate others, then yeah, that's a problem. Here in Canada, a number of years ago, I went to a protest. It was talked about on the radio before it happened here. Our national government radio station covers all kinds of things that go on in Canada. And what was happening, this is just before Trump got elected, a year or so before, I think, or maybe 6 months before. And what happened was some white supremacists came, and they rented the city of Vancouver's grounds so they could do a presentation on white supremacy. And so I heard about this and I thought, oh, I'm going to go down. Maybe there'll be a few hundred people who are like-minded with me. I was expecting, and I'll hear what they have to say. And then I will hopefully get a chance to speak out on the megaphone in response to them. Over 30,000 people showed up that day against the white supremacists. And then I did get a chance to ask them some questions. I asked one, and people were asking them dumb questions, smart aleck questions, some good questions. And then I asked a question about our what we have in our charter rights about everyone being equal. And the guy's response was about it being a slippery slope. Well, it's been in our charter for a long time already, been in our constitution for a long time already. So we're beyond the slippery slope stage. But then I wanted to ask him another question, but some people nearby started chanting the F word. So that fell apart. But what this was helpful to me, even though it was giving them a bit of a platform, what it helped me to understand, I thought was very important, was that other people living here in my area, it matters to a lot of them that this racism needs to be objected to, that the white supremacy stuff needs to be rejected, needs to be objected to. And that made me feel I felt afterwards that I know my local society quite a bit better after this, seeing that so many people came out with their signs against white supremacists and objecting to them, and some of them yelling, swearing at them, being quite rude, but you know, the anger and whatnot against them. So they got drowned out a lot. They had police around them, protecting them from the crowd. So this to me, there's that aspect too. It helps me to understand that there are a lot more like-minded people. I was only expecting a few hundred people to show up, and 30,000 showed up to object to them. So there was, it like I say, it has to be taken a look at on a case-by-case basis, I think.
And where we're at now, I can 100% respect that. And the last thing I'll say, and then I'll shut the fuck up. Be Truthful made this comment. This is a majority, I think, addressing what I said. This is a majority world. They already have a microphone, or the microphone, referring to theists. Yes, they do. Like, that's undeniable, right? But as atheists or skeptics, that we don't just not believe in their God or lack of belief in their God. We are opposed to the majority, not all, but we're opposed to the way they view humanity, the way they view the treatment of us and our parents and our siblings and our grandparents. And our kids, and like on and on and on, right? We're opposed to that. So what I mean by that is if they already have the microphone, why are we giving them the entire fucking sound system? Right? Like that's what the fuck we're doing when we know we're dealing with bullshit. If it's an honest interlocutor that actually wants to have a real conversation, I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about those dumbass motherfuckers that we just listened to that's trying to justify rape or justify child molestation or justify yada, 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 whatever. Why, if they already have the microphone and they can already do that, why are we then as skeptics, atheists, non-believers, why are we saying, oh, cool, you brought the microphone, bro. Here's the fucking sound system.
Can I pause something? Do you think there's a major difference between platforming something versus making shit known and visible? Because you can make shit known and visible like we commonly do here, right? And review bullshit pastors and apologists and things like that, and then talk your ass against it.
Totally different. Totally different.
Okay.
There's a total difference between
That's what I mean.
A real-time voice, a real-time voice to communicate. Where if I'm reviewing a video, I have full control over where I can hit the pause button. I can delete something if it's disgusting. Right? I can do any or all of that I want to. But when you're dealing with somebody live, and like we just listened with that guy, and we're just using that because that's an example that we have. There's worse. We all know that there's worse than what we heard there. Sure. It's like that's hearing that real time, especially again if there's someone in the chat or whatever. Those are the people I'm thinking about right now. I'm not thinking about me. I'm thinking about people in the chat. That what if they were raped or molested or abused or whatever it was? What
we want to control that. Yeah.
What did that do to them in that moment?
Yeah.
That's my thought on it. But I don't know. We're at 2:05, so I'm going to shut the fuck up. We do need to do it part two.
You're working from a point of compassion and caring for others, and that's such an important quality. So, this is why I think that you're very well suited to keep raising these questions. This is an important question.
No, let's like Oz says. This is one of our longest for chopping it up, and this has been something that there's a lot of firsts this evening, Randolph. A lot of firsts. You are a very honored guest.
Wow. Okay. Thank you very much.
Very honored. Very honored. And of course, we will bring you back because this is something we should continue to discuss and chop up further again. Either whether it be this show or something, we're gonna have the discussion again because there's a lot more that I know Oz wants to say. There's a lot more that I want to break down and say because I hold myself back. And I just blast myself on other areas where I know I can just freely just speak and not shut the fuck up too often. In that, conversations like these on what is the difference between platforming and actually showcasing something that should be showcased enough for people to know and be aware of versus, and I think there is productive ways you can do that, even if it is live. That's fine if Oz thinks differently or not, but I think there are suitable ways to do so. And suitable ways to shut them down. I'm not going into that right now. I'm just saying I think there could be a productive ways to do that. I'm trying to close this out. I'm not trying to argue. We can discuss that in part 2 or in the Discord if y'all want to join us in the Discord. We can chop that up too in the Discord. How about that?
One that I may not have touched on with censorship is that if these people like the white supremacists who came from the US to Vancouver a few years ago that I was talking about, if they're always being shut down and not permitted to express their bad ideas, they go underground. And then they're like a pressure cooker that's just not maintained. Eventually, one day that pressure cooker, it's too much pressure and it explodes. And then you have a problem where things are coming up unexpectedly. I think that letting them express themselves can be therapeutic. So there can be that. That's a concern I have with censorship.
And that's fair. I think I don't have a hard grounding in either direction. I can
Yep.
see both sides to this.
Yeah.
I'm not as black and white.
Yeah.
And some
It's
certain
nuanced.
things I am, and most
Yeah.
things I'm not.
It's
And
nuanced.
I know yes,
Basis.
it is very, for me, it is a lot of nuance, and I can fairly state that. And I know both me and Oz don't necessarily agree on everything and don't necessarily disagree on all things either. So, and that's fine. That's okay. And that's healthy. That's why we just have these discussions and talk it out and see which are the best approaches to address things like this, and what can we further the discussion, and how can we best approach individuals like this, whether it be video review or live or in private discussion, no less. It doesn't always have to be broadcast.
I mean, I get people quit or get people fired at work for being fucking hateful, bigoted ass, fucking racist.
These are facts.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me whether it's on YouTube or in real life or whatever. You don't tolerate that shit. You don't fucking tolerate that shit.
And I'm not saying you should tolerate it either. I'm saying there are ways to address it to where you can broadcast that shit and still have your hard hand on it to suppress the bullshit too.
I'm not saying that you or Randolph are saying that we should tolerate it. I'm just talking shit. I'll shut up.
I'm talking shit too, babe. It's cool. We get along. No, this is good. I appreciate when me and Oz do have these healthy back and forths. They're kind of rare, where we're kind of digging in on each other a little bit to where we both disagree on a certain thing, but we come to an understanding in a sense. But it's, I'm just saying I appreciate the healthy. But I'm gonna can I wrap it? Can I wrap it up?
Is it a burrito? What are we wrapping?
We're wrapping this burrito, and we're gonna go to Discord.
Oh, word. Let's wrap the burrito.
All right, we're gonna wrap this burrito. I will post this since Jack Burton is from the panel. Censorship can breed radicalism and make those censored feel validated by the perceived persecution. Don't make martyrs out of them. Make them clowns, out and open, and laugh at. I can agree with that.
No, go die, bitch. Go die.
See?
Damn
it, Jack Burton.
You want to be a martyr for bad ideas? You want to be a dumbass? Go fucking die, bitch.
I'm gonna wrap this up. Randolph, please express any final words and shield yourself, and we will head on over to the Discord without further interruption.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I really enjoyed the conversation today. It was, I think we got into some very important topics, and Oz is asking an excellent and very important question in this day and age that needs to continue to be promoted and should be more on people's minds, I think. So thank you for that, Oz. It's excellent. I guess if people want to see more of what I'm doing, you can find me on my YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/Randolf Richardson. And that's Randolph spelled with an F, not a PH, no matter what autocorrect tells you. I'm also on Twitter if people would like to reach me there. My Twitter handle is Randolph828, same spelling with an F. So I would suggest if what I was saying earlier about people having at least a basic level of respect for each other would be helpful for, I think, for the long-term future of humanity. That would be something worthy of promoting. And if people could please consider that and try to encourage others to do that, I think we'll be a lot better off in the long run. It'll be a great thing for those of us who live on this planet after us. Thank you. Thank you for having me on. I really, really appreciate it.
And we did provide links to Randolph's Twitter and his Canadian Atheist website in the description down below. Obviously, I did link his YouTube channel in the chat, so please subscribe, follow, do all the shit to support the godfather of atheism, the great grandpappy, the big daddy up in Canada. Yes, babe.
It got weird all of a sudden. Just two things.
Okay.
Randolph, thank you for hanging out tonight. As always, I appreciate you. And
likewise.
Love you.
And I've always said this, and even tonight, Randolph is the most patient, the most charitable, the most kind, the most giving,
the most
person,
non-Christian Christian.
Yeah, he out Christians these Christians all day, every day. And so I appreciate you coming on and hanging out with us, Randolph. And I know there's some streams and some topics and some subjects. I don't just get spicy. I get lit and I get going. So I do want to say that anything that I've said tonight does not represent the views or opinions of Randolph or Jena, but they do represent mine and Tang. That's what the fuck we do.
So you're not going philosophical on us. You're going all legal. I got it.
Yeah, well, I'm doing that for you guys. I don't want to misrepresent you guys. So if anybody hears that,
you're not. I know you're not.
They would tie it to you guys. I never want to do that to anyone. So yes, those are my views. Those are my opinions. And yes, what I said, I do hold to. Fuck them. It's not worth it to me to fight that fight. But that does not represent what Randolph or Jena stand for. And that's it. I love you.
I love you too, babe.
I look forward to coming back again.
Hell yeah. We're doing part 2. For real. See, you got love, Oz. People appreciate you. People love you.
I'm good. I'm not depressed. I'm just
I didn't even say all that. But that's okay. Baby, you have button powers. I'll just wrap us up again. I threw the Discord link in the chat. You can join us. We'll be there roughly in a few minutes or so after everyone takes their other break. But until then, we will see y'all next time for another Chopping It Up.
Chop it up. Chop it up. Chop it up. Chop it up. Chop it up. Chop it up. Chop it up.